Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited and so honored that you all are taking time out of your amazing Wednesdays to join the California Black Health Network for our Crown Care Boot Camp. Now, listen, your hair is your crown, and I mean that literally, not just as some metaphor, but as a statement of fact. What we know is that for generations, Black women have adorned, braided, twisted, coiled, styled, cut, and chopped our crowns as acts of resistance, beauty, creativity, and self determination. We know that our hair tells the story of who we are. But here's what we know: the beauty industry has been selling us a lie. They've been telling us that to care for our crowns, we need their chemicals, their relaxers, their edge controls, their gels, products designed in labs by people who have never even looked at Black skin under a microscope. They've never studied what happens when these chemicals touch our scalps and never cared to ask, is this safe for them? And the answer is no. And so tonight we are here to say that we know better and we deserve better. This boot camp is not about shame. It's not about blaming you or any of us for the choices that we've made. We've all been sold these products and they've become staples in our hair care routine. Tonight is about reclaiming our power. It's about understanding what's actually in the bottles, the jars, and the bags of some of our most beloved products that we are putting on our hair. It's about knowing that we have options. And it's about discovering that clean beauty is not a luxury for wealthy. It is a right that belongs to us. So tonight, we are telling the truth. And we get to hear from two women who have done the research, who've built alternatives for our crowns, and who understand both science and the soul of what it means to care for our crowns with intention. And most importantly, you are going to leave here tonight knowing that you have the power to change your hair care routine. You will be introduced to two beautiful brands that can help you do it, because your crown and the health and well being of your crown matters. And so I am grateful that you are here to where that so that we can gather in community and discuss how to care intentionally for our crowns. Now, before I introduce the executive director of CBHN, why don't you tell me in the chat if you've got a name for your crown? Like, do you call your crown something great? You know, Tabitha Brown calls hers Donna. I haven't yet decided what I want to call mine. Most of the time, it's very much like, hey, girl, you know, with all of the affection that I can offer. And so, if you've got a name for your crown, why don't you drop the name of your crown in your chat while I introduce Rhonda Smith? For those of you who don't know or who need to familiarize yourselves with her, she is the ED here at CBHN, and she just celebrated 6 years leading and loving this organization in more ways than one. And so I welcome into our space our ED, Rhonda Smith.
Well, thank you very much, Charity. Are we going to share the slides?
Yes, we are.
Yes. So thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you to the speakers and all of you who are taking time out of your evening, as Charity mentioned. I'm just going to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about CBHN, or the California Black Health Network, who we are, what we do, and kind of why we are talking about this subject, and why it's so important for our community. So we are a California Black Health Network. We are the only statewide Black-led organization that really focuses on advancing health equity for all Black Californians. And we are the leading voice on health equity and a trusted resource when it comes to doing what we need to do for our community, but definitely doing that through transforming how things work within the healthcare system. I say programs come and go, but policy creates lasting change. So that is an important part of the work that we do to help save Black lives. So generally on a day-to-day basis, as Charity knows, we do a lot of outreach, education, like we're doing tonight, and advocacy and policy work to achieve health equity for Black Californians. And we do that through the lens of really understanding things that lie at the intersection of racial justice, social justice, and environmental justice. And so, under the environmental justice umbrella, we look at things that are part of the built environment, but also things that impact, what we put on and in our bodies. And so, if we go to the next slide, please, which led us to really focus on the conscious Black beauty movement, which we rebranded from the non-toxic Black beauty project that we worked on a few years ago. We felt, even when the project ended, as if you all work in nonprofit, you know that grants come and go, and there's an endpoint, but the work doesn't end. And so we felt it was important for us to continue to deliver this information to our community, move that message forward, and help our community understand what we could all do to, again, live healthier, make healthier, safer, better choices in our everyday lives. And so the Conscious Black Beauty Movement is really a campaign that we launched to challenge the beauty standards and the status quo in the beauty industry. And so we really want to bring together all the influencers, all the people who care about this work. And I say, for me, I think that what we have experienced and see with products that are specifically marketed to Black women and girls is very analogous to big tobacco and what they've done in the Black community around menthol cigarettes, knowing that menthol cigarettes is the worst of the worst cigarettes that you can smoke. But they're intentionally make it seem cool and safe and okay for us to do that. And so manufacturers know what the harmful chemicals that are in the products that they sell to us, but do they care? Not that much. So we are really working to, first of all, elevate and build awareness about this issue, really try to reduce exposure of our community or to our women and girls of toxic chemicals that are endocrine disrupting chemicals that can lead to all different health conditions, including uterine fibroid, uterine cancer, breast cancer, maternal health outcomes as well. And so we hope tonight that you walk away learning a lot, and so that you can carry that forward and help you as well as your family and your friends and your loved ones make healthier, safer, better choices for you and your family. So thank you, Charity, for pulling this together. Thank you to Amika and to Sierra for being here tonight, and all of you out in the audience, wherever you might be in this world. So, and thank you, Amika, especially because you're on vacation. So thank you for taking time out of your vacation to be here tonight. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Rhonda, for grounding us in our mission and vision and the importance of this work that we are doing. Now, I'm going to check the chat to see if we've got some names for these crowns. Anyone drop some interesting names in there? Noble. Okay. Listen, it's yours. It is yours. I enjoy a good name for some hair. Now, one of the things that we're going to do tonight, I'm going to ask y'all a very huge favor. I'm going to drop a post survey link in the chat. We are curious about your growth about these various chemicals, and we want to gauge your awareness and just how much insight and tips and everything that you retain over the next hour while we are sharing. And we've got our sister friends and aunties here who are going to give us so much insight and information that we need about our crown care. And so I put the link in the chat. If you can, please, within the next few moments, while I bring up our first guest, please fill out that survey for me. And if you would like to scan the QR code, I'm going to share my screen again, making that possible for you to do so. Because the QR code is right there. And I'm going to give us a really nice 30-second Black girl moment. And again, this is a brief survey, not one of those brief surveys like it's about to take you 2 minutes. I mean, brief survey, like 5 questions. We are in and out because I respect my sister's time. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a few moments. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce us to our very first guest. But I want to set some grounding agreements, okay? This is a boot camp. And with our CBHN boot camps, our goal is that you learn so much, but that the information you receive, you use it in like your real everyday life. We want there to be change, not just within the industries, but within our communities. And so I encourage you all tonight to be responsive in the chat. I'm going to be looking at the chat. If you have any questions, we are going to have a Q&A moment at the end. But if you've got one of those burning questions you just got to get out, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll keep watch so that as I'm having this conversation with our guests, I can ask your questions along with mine. First, I'm going to introduce, drop the link. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Monique. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to drop it one more time. There we go. So everyone's got the link. Beautiful. So I'm first going to bring into our space Amika Coleman. Amika Coleman is the founder and CEO of Strands of Faith, a successful clean beauty brand focused on nourishing textured hair with cruelty-free, non-toxic products. She is a first-generation college graduate from Jackson, Mississippi. She holds a degree in microbiology and clinical research, combining scientific expertise with entrepreneurial vision in the beauty industry. Welcome into this space, the amazing Amika Coleman. How are you?
I am doing amazing. Thanks so much for having me tonight.
Thank you for being here with us. So, quick question before we dive in. Does your crown have a name?
As you was talking about that, I was like, I think if I had to pick a name, it's only fitting that it would be guess. Can you guess? Can you take a guess what it would be?
Faith?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's I see that for you.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So Faith. So we're gonna go with Faith. This is me and Faith right
Faith.
here. She's recently 6 months locked up after 20 years of being a free, loose natural. So new hair journey.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for joining us even while you are on vacation. So talk to us about your hair journey. How did
Okay.
you even think to create a brand like Strands of Faith?
Yes. So my journey is very robust. So let me see if I can make it succinct. So actually returned natural in 2006. At the time, going natural was kind of taboo. You know how you get the side eye when people see you cut your hair off and they're like, "What's wrong with you? Are you going through a midlife crisis?" Mind you, I was only like 19 or 20 years old at the time, but I was a college student and I got to the point to where I realized I had never experienced my true texture before, the curls, the kinks, the coils, because I had been relaxed all my life since I was like 5 or 6 years old. And so I was curious and I wanted to be liberated in a new way. And so that's when I transitioned. I transitioned for about 11 months and then I made the decision to just do the big chop. And I cut all the relaxed transitioning hair off. My hair was probably an inch, if that long, when I did the big chop. And that was the very first start of my journey. I got to learn my hair in a brand new way. I got to learn myself in a brand new way because, I always like to say that journey for me was liberating and it was therapy. Really, it was therapy, and that was the very first relationship that I had. And I remember I started an Instagram page documenting my journey. And I'll never forget how so many other women, they started following the journey and they started getting curious and they was like, maybe I could consider doing this too. And at the time I used to try to get everybody on a bandwagon. I'm like, come on, you go natural, you go. And so
Mhm.
it was a very, very nice time. That was the start of me returning natural. But then Strands of Faith came a decade later. So it all came full circle. But that journey, we'll probably get into that more, but that journey came from recognizing a gap in the market for, like, as you said, clean, non-toxic products, but not only clean and non-toxic, but ones that were effective and that work specifically for our texture. And so my personal journey and later my scientific journey with my professional background merged together, and that's how Strands of Faith came about.
Wow. Thank you. What a journey. You mentioned that you did the big chop, and I know many of us have a sister friend or maybe even ourselves who that was the start of their natural hair journey too. Let me just chop it all off. We were told,
Right.
because we had relaxers, we had all the things, and it was like, whoa. So chopping it off for a lot of us seemed to be the best way to just start natural. I myself
Mm-hmm.
in fall of 2005. And my start was a beautician telling me I had curly hair because she looked at my roots. She said, "Oh, you've got curly hair." And I said, "Girl, those are naps." And so even language that I was using
Hmm.
to describe a texture I had not even known
Right.
was very, very foreign. And
Hmm.
so I'm always amazed at like the journeys or the moments that provoke any of us to return to our roots and begin loving and liking our hair. You
Right.
mentioned you've got this great educational background. Talk to us about some of the toxic ingredients that you have tracked for years that are
Hmm.
in the products that we are using.
So it's interesting because when I started Strands of Faith from a formulation standpoint, because we manufacture our products ourselves in Pearl, Mississippi. And one of the things that I wanted to do specifically for our products is I wanted to control the ingredients that we put into the product, and I formulated according to EU guidelines because their guidelines are a little bit more stringent than what we have here. And so when it comes to certain ingredients being in products, like for instance, formaldehyde releasing ingredients that like the DMs and various ingredients, I wanted to focus more so on the opposite and putting the clean ingredients in the product. So one of the things, and I'm careful about when it comes like out, I guess just like mentioning outright what certain ingredients are. So, for instance, our theologists, we don't use parabens in our products. And we don't use parabens because, like you mentioned earlier, about the fibroid and the cancer and all these different ingredients being linked and attached to it. And so we find alternative ingredients that serve the same purpose but are healthier. So, like phenoxyethanol is a preservative that we use in our products in the recommended limits according to, the guidelines for safety. And
Now,
so
wait a minute,
parabens.
Amika. Now, you are a scientist, okay? And there are people here who we've heard parabens, we've heard formaldehyde, we've heard of
Mhm.
these things, these chemicals. We don't know what
Right.
they are. Can you tell
Hmm.
us what are parabens? What is formaldehyde? Like
Yeah.
what
So,
are they? These very specific ingredients that we see when we flip over the bottle.
right.
Or we'll see brands, they'll list it on the front of their packaging now. No parabens, no sulfates, no all of the things. We're like, oh, you said no to like all
Right.
the things. So tell us what exactly these chemicals are.
Yeah. So parabens are preservatives. So they are preservatives that are meant to keep your product safe. So no yeast growing, no bacteria, no molds. All of those things are when you don't want them in your products, period. But parabens have been linked to certain health events that are, I guess I'm trying to figure out. But so basically, parabens are preservatives. However, there has been deemed better alternatives over the time, and that's what we use in our products, like the phenoxyethanols.
Okay, so you said parabens, you said formaldehyde. Now we've all heard
Hmm.
formaldehyde. Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So formaldehyde releasing ingredients. So nobody, well, I hope not, is putting formaldehyde in products, but they can, like certain ingredients, like when you're like mixing or formulating a product, they can be like releasing. So I guess the best way to explain it is like like I said, the DMDM high Dayton, that's an ingredient that's in the products that's been linked to formaldehyde, like releasing ingredients. And so I'm trying to explain it in a way that it's not directly. So when most people think of formaldehyde, they think about embalming fluid, like embalming a dead body. Nobody is putting formaldehyde directly into the ingredients of the products, but the releasing ingredients can be just as harmful, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. It
Yeah.
does.
Yes.
So, which ingredients concern you the most as it pertains to Black women's health and what you might be seeing either in shampoos or in edge control?
Hmm.
We gonna slick it back, whether it's a ponytail, the edges, we like a slick situation. So, what are some of those ingredients where you're like, you know what, that's concerning for us because of the health implications or the health risks that.
Right. I think one of the ingredients that comes top of mind is isopropyl alcohol, which is a drying alcohol. I think a lot of people get it confused when they think about alcohols. They may see a product that says like cetyl alcohol, cetyl alcohol, stearyl alcohols, and they think I'm not going to use that specific product because it has alcohols in it, and they mistake it for something like isopropyl. Whereas those specific alcohols are emollient type of alcohols. Like they're fatty acids meant to condition your hair and to make it soft. And whereas isopropyl, which sometimes can be found in certain edge controls, is drying. So you're slicking your hair for the aesthetics of it or for the look of it because you want to look, want to fly, you want to look fresh, you want to look really good. But then those ingredients are drying out your edges and breaking them off. That's why like when people are using edge controls, they find that their hair over time starts to thin out is because of those ingredients like that, like those alcohols. But
Wow.
again, not to be mistaken for the emollient alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just want you to know towards the end, we're gonna have some product recommendations. I mean, the whole entire Strands of Faith line is incredible. But there are just a few questions that we're going to get to. So when we are looking for products that would promote healthy hair,
Hmm.
for some of us, that oof, it becomes a challenge, because either of due to access or how expensive healthy hair care seems to be. And
Hmm.
so, what do you tell women who feel that clean beauty isn't necessarily accessible or affordable for her?
So clean beauty is accessible and affordable. I think the best way of it is the education piece of it. So educating everybody and consumers on what to look for, specifically also most importantly for their hair type, texture, and goals, because what worked for one person may not necessarily work for the next person. But I don't want, so when it comes to ingredients, I guess I never want it to be like a fear thing. Education kind of dismantles all of that when you know like what to look for in your products. So for instance, like good ingredients are be like things like humectants. Humectants are ingredients that draw in the moisture, which for textured hair, we want that moisture in. And so glycerin, aloe vera, these are natural ingredients that are beneficial for your hair. And then like the conditioning ingredients, like the BTMS. BTMS is B-hen-trimonium methyl sulfate. It's a mouthful. And the reason why I specifically mentioned that one is because sometimes you'll hear people say, well, if you can't pronounce it, don't use it. But that's not always the case because there will be ingredients that you can't necessarily pronounced, but they are good. And that is another ingredient that is a beneficial ingredient. And then on the flip side of that, just because you can pronounce it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best for your
That's
hair or for the formulation. Because, like, when you think about essential oils, essential oils are great. We know essential oils to be very beneficial. They're also natural, but just because it's natural doesn't necessarily mean it's good because essential oils has to be formulated within certain constraints of percentages. Like if you try to put 10% of tea tree oil in a product, it will tear your scalp up. And that's when you hear people mention certain allergies. They may say, "Oh, I'm allergic to a product with tea tree oil," and then they may not ever use a product with tea tree oil in it ever again. But it could have possibly just been that brand or that specific product that wasn't formulated in percentages that will deem less likely to have like an allergic reaction. So various things go through the process. When it comes to ingredients and products, I say go for the ingredients that you absolutely know and understand. And if you don't know it and understand it, a quick Google will, just let you know what is it that I'm putting in my hair. Because, and that's another thing too, you always want to be equipped yourself. Even though we're here today giving knowledge, and this is great, this is always a start. But I also like to encourage each individual to, just Google so you can be more educated about what's in your product and why am I using it. So, for instance, when it comes to sulfates, sulfates are an ingredient that cleanses your hair, cleanses your scalp. Well, we don't use any sulfates in our products. And, some people are like, well, you don't use sulfates, so how do you clean your hair? Well, sulfates are traditionally a lot more drying for textured hair. And this is why sometimes when you hear people say, "Oh, I shampoo my hair and my hair is brittle, it's dry, and I have to work overtime to get that moisture back into my hair," is because those sulfates can be very drying. And so instead, we use more gentle cleansing agents like cocoa betaine. It still cleanses, but it's not going to strip your hair like completely. And then what's another good one? I would say silicones. Silicones, I think that's a controversial one.
Mm-hmm.
Silicones is, we don't use silicones either. But our reasoning is because silicones, it doesn't mean that they're bad. They have their place. When you get a good silk press, having silicones in your hair really helps to prevent possible heat damage. But the thing with silicones is that it also can like put a coat over your hair, so the moisture then can't get in. And that's the issue over time when it's time to moisturize your hair. That's why your hair can get drier and then it can cause buildup. And so at that point, you would need to use a clarifier, something to completely, strip it and make sure your strands can breathe again. And so since our specific customer base are looking for moisture and we're moisture first, this is why we formulate according to moisture first products, which is why we don't use sulfates and silicones and all the things. And so I would say when it comes to ingredients, know what is your ultimate goal with your hair type, with your hair texture, with your routine. What is the ingredient in the formula? What is it doing for the formula? Like, so formulation is, so how can I say this? Let's say you have two products that are exact same and they have maybe all of them, let's say all of them have the same four ingredients. And then you use both of the formulas, one work and one doesn't work. That's very well a possibility because let's say if you're somebody who has fine strands and one of the formulas has maybe 30% oils and butters. And then the other formula has 5% oils and butters. Well, the one that has 5% is going to work better for your overall hair texture and your, like your strand, the level of your strand when it comes to coarse, medium, fine. So knowing the ingredients that's in there, but then also testing out to see what exactly works for you, not judging a product simply just based off of, oh, it has these ingredients, so you're basically like writing it off without even giving it a shot. So I would say that, and then the other thing is the product design for your hair type and goals. Somebody who has coarse hair, it's not going to respond the same as somebody who may have type 2 hair or like a looser texture. And so that's another good question to ask. And then I would say one of the last things to really focus on is learning the actual structure and it kind like the makeup of your hair as far as like porosity. Like, do you have high porosity, low porosity, medium porosity? The scientific makeup of your hair itself are all going to play a part in knowing if a formula works for you or not. So ingredients are important. Ingredients are absolutely important. Once you get that basic down, clean, non-toxic ingredients, then the healthy hair routine and everything else that's built on it comes like after that piece of it.
I know some of us, we haven't tested our strands of hair to understand its porosity. So how do we properly test at home the porosity of our hair?
Yeah, so porosity, I mean, you have the infamous cup test
Well,
where you
mhm,
where you
mhm,
where you take a strand of hair, put it on a cup, and see if it floats. And if you have high porosity hair, your hair isn't able to, it's harder to maintain the moisture. So the water goes in and it goes out just as fast. And it so high porosity hair floats. Well, I always get it backwards. High porosity hair floats. I mean, no, high porosity hair sinks, it goes to the bottom. Low porosity floats because it's harder for the moisture to get in your hair. But once it gets in your hair, it stays in and your hair stays moisturized for a longer period of time. But another good way you can tell, and the reason why the cup test isn't foolproof is because we have so many different quadrants and sections and inches of our hair all over our head. So this section in the front may be high porosity, in the middle, it may be medium, and so it varies overall. But another good way to just really understand your porosity is like, how are you styling your hair? What are the daily routine of styling your hair? If you color treat your hair, if it's chemically treated a lot with like dyes and things like that, then you may be more high porosity prone. And this is why it's more important to follow up with the moisture treatments and even protein to balance the moisture and the protein levels. No, excuse me. And if you're low porosity, then it's harder for you to get the moisture in. So you may have to steam under a dryer, like put your deep conditioner on, get under a dryer, and allow the steam actually open up the cuticle so that the moisture can get in. So it varies, but over time, like knowing the difference, like most people know what their hair is going through. They probably just don't have the proper name to put through to it. But when you get out the shower or whenever you finish washing your hair, if you say, "Oh, my hair hard to retain moisture," then that's leaning more towards, high porosity.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you. And we have several questions coming in. Some of them are more
Okay.
protective style oriented, and we're going to get into those after we speak with Sierra in a moment. And then for those of y'all who are wondering, we are going to show you an app to use that will allow you to see the ingredients that are in the products that you have. So just hold tight.
Hmm.
And then we are going to get into some talk around protective styles, especially in the Midwest and winter, and the beanies, and we cover our hair and all of the things. And so your questions, can you please put them in the Q&A option at the bottom of your Zooms? That will definitely help me keep track of it. But I'm seeing questions about alopecia, the essential oils. I am seeing your questions, and we are going to ask them because I think it would be great to have both Sierra and Amika in the space so that we can hear both of their wisdom and insights around the topic. And so this is going to be incredible. I'm going to bring Sierra to the space now. But let's talk about Sierra, okay?
Hey.
Because listen, this is another level of Black Girl Magic that we get into that I'm really, really excited to share. And I am missing my whole share button. It went away. So let's first talk about who Sierra is, okay? Sierra Imani May, which I love your name. She is the
Thank you.
founder and CEO of Rebundle. Now, listen closely, y'all. This is the first US made plant based braiding hair brand. She started Rebundle to create a safer, more sustainable alternative to synthetic extensions, giving braiders and their clients products that are gentle on the scalp and planet. let us welcome the soul sister who is about to save our lives and our hair, Sierra Imani May. Welcome to our
Jerry, you're
space
too
tonight.
kind.
Listen, there's been so much conversation and so much research around the toxins that are found in braiding hair. And so you
Mhm.
being here with us tonight feels like a gift. It's one thing within the beauty industry to talk about a problem. It's another thing for someone who looks like us to create a solution so that we can still wear our protective styles and it not end up causing us health complications or all sorts of scalp issues in the long run.
Mhm.
And so I want to know, like, walk us through your journey. What made you realize that the mainstream braiding hair that we were getting from our local beauty supply stores just really wasn't safe for us?
I would say my aha moment was back in 2019. I was working at an HBCU. I just finished grad school where I studied social entrepreneurship. And so I was looking for inspiration. And because I was wearing braids so frequently, the inspiration was my own experience while wearing these products and the questions that I had about what was causing my scalp irritation, what those products were made out of, where they were coming from. Just questions that I think a lot of us have had, but didn't have the opportunity to ask. So I turned to YouTube and found this is when YouTube was like in its hype era. A
Mm,
lot of videos about like washing hair in apple cider vinegar and like all these at home remedies that I was like, this is nuts that you would buy a product that you expect to be ready to use and safe, but yet you have to treat it at home with some kitchen supplies for it to not irritate your scalp. And I just thought that that was so strange. I couldn't think of any other instance where we have to do that. And
mhm,
so that led me down a path of researching, well, what are these products even made out of? Is it the material that's causing the irritation? And as I started to talk to other people and raise these questions audibly to others, they sort of, tilted their heads like, yeah, what is that? Or why does it irritate our scalps? And
mm.
when I had the opportunity to do so, I ordered an analysis on, I think it was two popular brands of synthetic hair. And I'm not a chemist, by the way. I just wanted to know as a consumer, like, what is in this? And um, the results were, kind of startling for someone just curious. And that led me on a path of like, well, I'm not willing to give up braids, but I'm not willing to compromise my health uh, to continue wearing these styles that I've worn all my life. It's sort of my God given right as a Black woman to
That's
put my hair
right.
in a protective style. I want to be able to do so with hair that's not going to damage my scalp and be damaging to the environment as well. So got
Mm,
back on YouTube, started researching alternative fiber types, trying to understand what else was out there. Saw that they were using some cellulosic materials, some plant fibers in East Africa. I don't know, that's so interesting. I wonder if we could get something like that here. And we didn't have anything like that at that time. Those type of materials weren't accessible to us. So I just set out to figure out, well, how do I bring that type of technology to the US? How do we make braiding hair safe for Black women everywhere?
yeah. Wow. I love the fact that your curiosity is what led you down this
Mhm.
path. Just to check in with our people, put a one in the chat if you were ever curious about what is really in this braiding hair. Like, have you ever just picked up a bag and wondered, I see
Yeah.
someone.
And
Yeah,
the packaging
curious.
doesn't have any information. In fact,
Not a one
the
ingredient.
not a single ingredient.
Mm-mm.
Actually, what you find on there are a lot of um, jargon and marketing words that
Yep.
are repeated. So it's like, let's say something becomes trendy or becomes popular, you may see it on social media. Suddenly you see it on the packaging in the store. And I'm like, who made
Mhm.
it up first?
Yeah, yeah, one would have to wonder. Now, just because I'm curious, I never went down the rabbit hole to discover what was in the braiding hair. I've always kind of stuck with human hair, and I'm like, okay, I know how to wash and do my thing. What chemicals did you find in the braiding hair? If you can remember, like what were some of the common ones?
So then what I learned was the most common fiber type used for most braiding hair was PVC, or polyvinyl chloride, which is a known carcinogen, and was being banned in other industries. And I'm like, how did it land on my scalp? Like, who let that happen? Um, we saw animal meat fat. Didn't know what that was or why it was
Pause.
there.
Animal meat fat in my braiding hair?
Yep. Didn't know why. Still don't know why it was there.
That
Why
is
it is
so
there.
weird.
Yeah.
Never would have guessed
We
that. Never.
saw, yeah, I know. We saw plasticizers. Now today we know that there are heavy metals that can be present, that
Mhm.
there are phthalates that can be present, just a bunch of stuff that makes you wonder, like, who let this happen, or why is this happening? And no one is paying attention. I mean, as consumers, we're feeling the pain, but at that
Mhm.
time, back in 2019, there were so little conversation about the safety and efficacy of braiding hair. And I just could not believe that at that time I was 23, 24, something like that. And I was like, no one has ever said to me, hey, you should be careful of the braiding hair you use because it could potentially be toxic. It could be exposing you to harm without you knowing. And I was just floored that, me fresh out of grad school was the one raising these questions to a level that was really getting people's attention to be like, yeah, you're right. Like, what is in this stuff? Why are we using this?
Mhm. Yeah. Why are we using it? Who made it okay? Who made it okay? And we've used it for generations. And at no
Hmm.
point before recent years have we stopped and said, hey, what is in this? And there's so many
Yep.
of our grandmothers, our daughters, our aunties, ourselves who are suffering with all sorts of health complications and things happening with our scalps and our edges. And we wouldn't have even linked it to, girl, it's the braiding hair. Like
Yeah. I
something is
think
in
I
the
think it's
hair.
becoming more popular now, but like,
Absolutely.
again, when I was looking into this, it was like, I mean, just wash it with apple cider vinegar. That's really all you can do. Or make sure you're treating your scalp, make sure you're washing your hair. And it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. All those things are great. But what about the hair itself? What about the material? What about the ingredients in the hair?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what, and I'm seeing some, thank you, Leslie, for putting the recent report, consumer report. They did recently do a study, and so part one and part two is definitely within that report. I would encourage you all, click that link that she just offered and really discover what's in the hair that we are using. And y'all know we love a good braid down, we love a good cornrow, all the things. So it's worth knowing and doing something about. You got rebundled into Ulta and now Sephora as well. Is that a yes, yes? Yeah. No, not yet.
Just Ulta.com.
Just Ulta. Okay. We're just gonna, I enjoy Ulta, but something about the Sephora black and white just does it for me. But right now we are in Ulta. And
Mhm.
so, what does this mean now for Black women to be able to find non-toxic braiding hair on mainstream shelves? Because again, for some of us, it's just a matter of, okay, we get this insight. They're going to read the consumer report. They're going to get all of the information. And now it's like, oh, we can go to ulta.com, type in rebundle and find you there. So what does that mean for us and um the options that we now have as it pertains to our health and well-being as we feel liberated to wear our protective styles.
Yeah, it definitely raises the stakes and it further differentiates um, products that are prioritizing safety, transparency, efficacy, and everything else. I think um, what our new relationship with Ulta means is there is a shift happening in the industry,
Hmm.
and it's great to be able to buy these products where you buy all your other beauty routine products because you are going into these stores with a certain level of expectation that in a beauty supply store, you just may not have that experience. It could be varied based on where you are, where you live. It could be varied based on who that store is owned by and what kind of products they carry. And I would also argue that there's been a level of gatekeeping that has taken place in the beauty industry that would make it difficult for a brand like mine to succeed in independently owned beauty supply stores. But Ulta sort of levels the playing field for a brand like mine because they're a national retailer. Um, they're not discriminated against me because I am not part of a certain community that has monopolized the hair extensions in the beauty supply industry. So it just continues to demonstrate that there's a shift happening uh, from who is owning um, hair brands, where you source from, and how they're distributed, and giving consumers optionality that we just didn't have in the past.
Yeah. I really, really like that. And I love the fact that you spoke about like integrity. I enjoy the brands who we're able to speak with and communicate with who have integrity with the ingredients that they are using. This is so important for us. We know within the beauty industry, there's so much that's not regulated, whether it's a fragrance, whether it's, I don't know, like some other ingredients, like you don't have to list it all, you don't have to tell all the things. And those are some of the forever chemicals that are killing us slowly. And so the fact that with both of your brands, there's so much integrity in you sharing the ingredients and letting us know your process and giving us insights that allow us to trust you and to also have products that are actually healthy for us, you know? And so for someone who is new to braiding hair or they are considering after they read this consumer report making a switch to healthier braiding hair, what should they look for and what can they expect from rebundle?
Consumers should look for ingredient transparency and also accessibility to the brand. And by that, I mean like actually being able to speak to customer service, being able to interact with the founder where possible or founders. Uh, Having a presence online is just such a change that we're seeing now that we just didn't see before. You didn't really have a relationship with your braiding hair brand, but now you can. And I think that's an important part of transparency as a brand. And I also think that consumers should look for uh, the ingredients as well as the instructions on best use, how to use the product. I'll speak for our products; they are different. And so we do our best to communicate those differences, to level set expectations, make style recommendations, and best practices so that you get the experience that you want. So we take pride in what makes our products unique and work with stylists and hair professionals who like some versatility, like some variety in their fiber types that are gentle on the scalp, but also allow them to allow their creativity to shine.
Hmm. Thank you for that. Um, Sharon asks if you can speak to the issue of non-licensed influencers. You mentioned, the social media presence and the accessibility, customer service, different things of that nature, but there is such a culture of influencers who are getting paid by brands to say all of the right things that we need to hear. And they're offering information about hair care products, offering consultations and so forth that might be incorrect, dangerous, or harmful. And so, what are some um, supportive tips that you can offer those who are on social media and they are looking for brands that they can trust in this space?
Mm, I don't know. That's a hard one. I think influencers serve a good purpose. For example, we work with sometimes they're actually customers, so I won't even call them influencers. Sometimes they're customers sharing their own testimonial, their own experience, and they may have a way of communicating the value of a product better or differently than the brand is capable of because they're not actually in it; they're just experiencing it. So I would say you just have to trust your own discernment,
Mm.
read reviews as well, uh, and just try to stay informed. Like I know that there's a lot of information online, and we do our best to. Everyone does their best to siphon through it to take what you need, but I think influencers and educators, online creators do serve a purpose, and you just have to use your own discernment to know what's real and what's not.
For your braiding hair, Maxine asks, what is the shelf life?
12 months.
Ooh, that is awesome. That was a great question, Maxine.
Mhm.
Listen, she said hair can't, good non-toxic hair can't last forever. So,
Yeah,
months.
because we still want it to biodegrade. And that's not to say that after 12 months it's just going to start falling apart, but you may notice some differences in the composition of the hair. It may shed more than it did before. The color may be a little bit lighter or something like that. But we have kept product on stability longer than that. But we just like to think of it as like a fresh product. So buy it when you need it and use it and then compost it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What do you wish the beauty industry knew about what Black women actually need? I feel like there's new products and things that come out all the time. It's like they keep their ear to the ground to listen to what we're talking about in our kitchens, and they pop up with stuff all the time. What do we actually need? What do they need to know about us? Ooh, good
We just
question.
need good ingredients. We need good ingredients that,
Real ingredients.
um, yeah, that match performance and ingredients that feed our hair and feed our skin, just to keep
Mhm.
it balanced. I think there's a there's definitely a lane for products that like offer some level of improvement. But I also think there's something to be said about products that just don't cause disruption. That's what we aim for, like not
Yeah.
trying to change the pH of your scalp, not trying to cause damage to your hair. Uh, we have heard testimonials from customers who have experienced a certain level of growth with their hair or retention because they're not experiencing breakage because our products contain some of those ingredients that Amika listed, like aloe and humectants that promote hydration and moisture while you're wearing this protective style. So um, I think in most cases, just keep it simple. We need simplicity and we need safety.
Yeah. That is really great. Miss Vanderbilt asked, did you say to compost it? You can compost your braid hair?
Yeah, it is biodegradable after use.
Wow. Is that a first or what? Because never have we ever. You're
Well, I
so,
mean, your own hair is compostable, so
there you
we
go.
just try to design it in that way.
Wow. Listen, we have wows in the chat because listen, she said even your own hair. That means when you go and you get them ends trimmed, like you can like sweep it
It
up
could be composted. Yeah,
and
it's
compost.
just it's organic matter.
Listen, organic matter growing straight from your scalp. Wow, you didn't know your crown was that fancy, huh? It can go be returned back to the earth and you'll get it again in some form or fashion, right?
Mhm.
That is incredible. Well, listen, I'm going to open up the space for some Q&A, but I want to address some of the questions that we do that I've seen looming around in the chat because folks definitely want to know how can they discover ingredients that are in their products. And so I'm going to share my screen so that you all can learn about the Clearia app. And I think the Yucca app, Yuka, was also put in the chat as well. There is a Clearia app. And if you scan this QR code, you can download it on Android and Apple devices. And the Clearia app helps you shop safer online and in the store. And so I use this app in real life. Clearia does not pay me or CBHN to talk about them. We just know a great and useful product when we see it, and we want to share it with you so that you can be empowered as you begin making changes with the products that you purchase for your hair care. And so how the app works is once you download it, and when you are in the stores, you can literally scan the barcode that it's on your favorite shampoo, and it will actually show you all of the ingredients that are in there. It'll provide the alerts, but not only will it inform you about what's in the product, it will give you safer swaps. Okay, so you can do that in the store, and if you're online, you can just go to the Clearia app. You can type in your favorite product. You can type in, I'm not gonna name my favorites, but well, yes, I will. So I'll really be liking the Dew, and her mousse Steph is my favorite. We'll talk about it later. But I go into the app and I can type in the Dew. It's going to pull up my mousse Steph, and I can click it, and it's going to actually show me all of the ingredients, and I can choose to make a safer swap. And so this app has been empowering for me because it has allowed me to not only be informed, but to immediately have some new choices that are readily available for me, whether I'm in the store or I am shopping online. And so you can scan this QR code. You can also visit clearia.com. I will also put it in the chat, so you can just click and learn more about the app. So I've got a few questions here. Tanya said that she wears crochet braids. How much maintenance should she put into her natural hair? She said, when I take it down, my hair is oily, but my hair is also dry. I have 2 types of alopecia as well.
I'll jump in. So when it comes to crochet braids, when she says her scalp is oily, so that part of it is natural. That's the natural sebum from the scalp. But the issue with our hair texture, especially if it's crocheted up, is that oil can't travel down the strands of your hair. And so that's why the remainder of your hair feels drier and more prone to breakage. But for crochet braids, whenever I get crochet styles, one of the things I do is make sure that the pre-installation process is to the T. Like as far as like washing my hair, deep conditioning it, fully moisturizing it, making sure that my hair is in the utmost hydrated and moisture position so that as the crochet braids are in, it's not like dried out like throughout the process. Like usually when I take my crochet down, my hair is still moisturized. Like I can still feel it to the touch, like along the shaft and the length of the strands. As far as when it comes to how often you wash, whenever I have crochet in my hair, I don't wash my hair just because you can risk kind of like tangling your hair or your hair matting. So like if you have crochet in your hair and well, that's because I have fine strands. The finer your strands are, the more true this is. But whenever like crochet is in my hair, if I wash my hair with the crochet in it, the water or the product can act as if like a glue. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, or it's kind of like the same like when you're taking out a protective style and you know how you have the shedded hairs that's in there. And then if you don't detangle fully, before adding water or product, then it can kind of mat and cause like more issues with it. So I say that for the suggestion I would make is to make sure your hair is fully moisturized and hydrated prior to. That'll help with the decrease in breakage along the way. And then post, just ensuring that you go in with your solid routine of washing, deep conditioning, and moisturizing to get your hair back to the optimal levels for your healthy hair routine.
Thank you. This could be for either of you. Which vitamins can be used to strengthen hair?
Sierra, you want to go or you want me?
Only one I know is vitamin E.
Oh, okay, yeah, vitamin. But is she talking about internal? She's talking about external or internal? She's talking about internal, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, vitamin E is a great topical product that helps with, the overall healthiness of your strands. But as far as like internal, a lot of people swear by biotin. But biotin is one of the things with biotin is water soluble. So sometimes, people think the higher dose they take, the more likely their hair is going to grow faster. But your body simply flushes out the excess, what it doesn't use or what it doesn't need. But the greatest, and this is another thing a lot of people don't like to hear, but the greatest vitamin that you can take is really come down to your nutrition, like what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, staying hydrated, drinking water. I know a lot of people try to look to external products like topical products to like grow their hair or to retain their strands. And so it's more of like a quick fix. But you know, and I like to say that even with me being in the hair industry, I can put an oil on the market and say this is going to grow your hair fast and millions out the gate, right? Because it's easy, but the thing is it's not factual. And so hair growth oils and oils, they are beneficial to your healthy hair routine. They add to it alongside, but hair oils and serums alone won't grow your hair over and beyond what it's intended to be because everything is genetic. So
Mm,
as far as hair growth, half an inch is the average, and we're talking average among black, white, Hispanic, wherever. Um, in my experience, people with textured hair or it's a little bit less than that, one half an inch. And so a lot of people think their hair is not growing, but in reality, they're having a length retention issue. And so hair, as long as you're healthy and your hair is always growing at the same rate. And the reason why, we don't see it most of the time is because it's also breaking off at that same rate. So if it's breaking off at that same rate, your hair is going to stay at the same length. But that's where the retention comes in, and that's where the healthy hair practices, the moisturizing, the kind of like decreasing the chemical styling, all those things help with the retention piece. But then back to the question about the vitamins, what you're doing internally, all of that is going to help as well because it's all tied together. It's all a system. So yeah, I can go on and on about that particular piece, but that's what I would say.
but what I heard you say is, what did your mama give you? What did you eat? How much water did you drink? And did you mind your business?
Yes,
All those things matter
exactly.
because stress will do a number on our edges and all of the look we're
Absolutely.
trying to retain.
And speaking of
Uh,
stress, what you said, another thing that a lot of Black women are shocked by, I was shocked by it initially, postpartum shedding. When,
oh,
when you lose your edges off and it's like you bald around here and, people think, oh, I've done something wrong, but that's just your hormones rebalancing. So like the stages of hair growth, like when you're actively like growing a baby, it stops in the phase of growth, meaning like it locks in there. That's why your hair grows. It seems longer, it's more vibrant, it's more full. But then the moment you release and have that baby, 2 months to even up to 24 months afterwards, the cycles reset. And now the phase where the hair is shedding, it goes into overdrive. And so your hair is, I mean, like your body's making up and it's like shedding all those hairs, and now you're having to start over as well. But that can also mimic with stress. Stress in life and our bodies. It can also mimic that same hormone phase to where now you're losing your hair, it's thinning. And then let's not get to like perimenopause and menopause and all those things, because I think someone mentioned that as well. That's another thing that impacts your hair. And one of the things, like, I don't want like our older women to beat themselves up about that because I have so many people to come to me and they're like, oh, my hair is thinning and I don't know what to do. And they think it's really them, but they may be on a blood pressure med or they may be, entering that phase of life where that's like a natural byproduct. So all those things are just important to consider when you start experiencing changes, in your hair care
Mm,
routine.
thank you so much for that. Sierra, can you tell us when we do wear our protective styles, whether they're braids or twists, how long can we keep our protective styles in? There are some who are like, when I put them in the summer, they're in all 3 months, and that's just what it is. What give us about the proper amount of time, because when we say protective, we want it to actually be protecting the health and the growth of our hair. And oftentimes, even just like keeping our protective styles in for too long is what's causing damage. So, what would be a good length of time to actually protect our beautiful crowns?
For us, we say no more than 6 weeks. That does depend. So if you're experiencing tension, you should take it out sooner. If you're not taking care of your scalp and your hair underneath the protective style regularly, you should take it out sooner. It could depend on the style too, like how big or small the braids are. There are a number of factors that would determine how long that style may should be in your head, but our general rule of thumb is no more than 6 weeks or when the tension becomes unbearable.
Hmm. And what is good proper maintenance for our scalp while we have our protective scalp, our protective styles?
I like to use a serum, not it's not an oil, it's a serum. So it's water based. And I like to use simply water, like to wash my hair when possible. Um, I try not to use too much edge controls, or when I do, making sure that when I'm washing my face, I'm washing my hairline as well. And moisturize, just keeping your hair moisture. Use a moisture lotion, something that the first ingredient is water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's important for us to know. Like, water is moisturizing. Like,
Mhm.
use it, use it, use it. I have one more question that I'm going to ask, and then we are going to wrap this up. We are planning an incredible experience. We'll announce it soon, but it'll be in the fall. We're going to continue talking about our crowns and our hair, especially since for so many of us, embracing and loving our natural hair is a new journey. We didn't grow up loving and embracing it in these ways. And so we're learning, and we get to learn together. We get to learn together in community. We get to learn together here at CBHN and have these important conversations and boot camps, because it's important for you to, again, not only have the information, but to access resources and alternatives so that we could have our crowns be as healthy as possible with non-toxic ingredients. And so my last question for tonight will be, this individual said that they're not on blood pressure meds, but they do see their hair thinning in the front. Are there any recommendations?
So I would have follow-up questions to that. Like if your hair is thinning, then I mean, since that's a symptom of it, the question would be like, have you had any protective styles like leading up to it that were high tension that put stress on your follicles and your scalp for it to thin? What was the recent change in routine? Or also if you've had your blood levels checked, like low iron, low ferritin, those are really silent culprits to thinning hair that a lot of people don't realize until later. And then also vitamin D. Low vitamin D is a huge one because that's also attached to like the hair growth cycles as well. So I would ask those questions. Those are some of the starting questions I would ask just to be able to kind of like dig deeper.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Those are, yeah, important questions. To ask before we just bounce off a whole list of additional recommendations. This has been so informative. I love hair. I love my hair, whether it's twisted, whether it's my curly fro. And I can talk about hair all day, any day, anywhere from here to South Africa, and I have. And so I am grateful that tonight we had Amika Coleman of Strands of Faith and Sierra from Rebundle here. I'm going to have both of them put their links to their brands in the chat so that you all can continue learning on this journey and so that you can support these amazing brand owners who have created brands that have products with lots of amazing ingredients that we can know, like, and trust, and that are safe for us. And so they're going to put their information in the chat so that we can continue to support them. I want to let you all know that CBHN, we do have a Conscious Black Beauty movement. We are a part of the Conscious Black Beauty movement. You can become a beauty ambassador. If you are serious about beauty and hair and non-toxic chemicals, join me. Okay. We are planning great experiences in the fall, and we want to be able to share this information more widely, And so there were over 70 of us here today. It would be great if a few of you would join us in becoming beauty ambassadors, and that would allow you the opportunity to receive a brief training so that you can be informed on toxic chemicals, on safer swaps, and you can receive information and resources monthly that you can distribute to your network. So if you want to become a beauty ambassador or you want to host an educational session, there will be a survey and you can put that, you can give me your email and I will definitely be in touch with you. We also have the Black Health Network. We have a network that is comprised of various types of providers who are supporting the work of CBHN, but these are a great collective of providers who we lean into and lean on in our community to support our work in Black health equity. There are biweekly newsletters that are distributed. They have special peer networking groups. It allows you to be more intimate with our CBHN mission and vision, and you get to be a part of the work that we are doing within this health equity space. And so these are 3 ways that you can support the work that we're doing and join us in community. And before we leave, if y'all can, I want to see how much you've learned, as well as I want to also see how much more you want to know. Listen, I consider Amika and Sierra like sister friends now. I might be asking them some of my own personal questions. And so I want you to feel free to definitely help us by taking this brief survey so I can see how much you've learned, but I can also hear from you to learn, to discover what more you want to learn. How can CBHN continue to support your journey as you discover non-toxic chemicals and how you can have safer, healthier, cleaner routines. And so scan the QR code. I will also drop the link in the chat. It's there this time. Look, look, look. Boop. Thank you, Miss Monique, for being on it. She said, please send that link. It is there. Thank you so much. And then did we also get the links to Strands of Faith and Rebundle? Yep. Did I see them? Did I see that? Yes, I see it. So I want you all to know you will receive an email from me or from Rhonda tomorrow. You will receive the recording of this boot camp. You will also receive a list of non-toxic brands, Black-owned brands that you can support. Some of the chemicals that both Sierra and Amika mentioned, I will refer to them in a list within the email so that you can be aware of these. I'll also provide the link to the Clearia app so that you can download that and feel more empowered as you're making your selection on hair care products. And so from CBHN to all of you, we thank you all for being here. Are there any final words or encouragement that Amika and Sierra want to leave our community with before we end the night?
Okay, I'll go. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and it was a joy. So I am again based in Pearl, Mississippi. We have been in business for 8 years now. We just recently celebrated our 8 years, and clean, non-toxic beauty to bring joy to your texture hair is what we do, and it's been such an honor and a purpose-driven faith journey doing so.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. We appreciate your time and we honor you for even just taking time away from your family to be here with us. We don't take that lightly at all. We appreciate your presence. Sierra, how about you? I know it is 10 15 body. Thank you for being with
For us
us.
both. Yeah. I my parting words are to listen to your body and trust your instincts when it comes to product safety, and just do your best to take care of yourself and protect yourself.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I am grateful for this journey that we are all going on with our crowns. Stay connected with CBHN. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. We post our videos to YouTube, and we are on LinkedIn. Definitely complete the survey. Put your information in there via email if you want to be a part of what we're doing at CBHN. This is a conversation that will continue. Okay. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. Did we get them all? Didn't you don't see the contact for rebundle? It's in there now. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, listen, y'all have an incredible night. And I hope you all continue to care for your crowns in all of the ways that feel good and that nourish and that are healthy to you on your journeys. You all have a beautiful night, and CBHN will be with you again in community soon.